The moment I looked up from my dinner table and saw my boss standing there, my heart nearly stopped. The fork slipped from my hand. My blind date stared at me in confusion, and my boss, Olivia Carter, looked even more shocked than I was. For a few seconds, nobody moved. Then she smiled sadly and said something that changed my life forever. She asked why I had never tried asking her out on a date. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and unexpected love stories, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone special, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories. My name is Ethan Walker, and at the time I was 32 years old, living in Seattle, Washington. For 3 years, I had worked as a project manager at a growing technology company. The job was demanding, but I loved it. The only problem was my boss. Not because she was difficult. Actually, she was the opposite. Olivia Carter was intelligent, kind, hardworking, and respected by everyone in the company. She treated employees fairly and always remembered small details about people's lives. She knew when someone had a sick parent, when a child graduated from school, or when an employee was struggling. The more I worked with her, the more I admired her. And that admiration slowly became something deeper, something dangerous. Because she was my boss, so I buried those feelings. Every morning, I reminded myself that nothing could ever happen between us. I focused on work and convinced myself that she probably didn't even notice me beyond my role in the company. Years passed. Then one day, my younger sister Hannah decided she had suffered enough watching me stay single. Without asking permission, she signed me up for a blind date. At first, I refused. But after weeks of pressure, I finally agreed. I told myself it was time to move on. Time to stop dreaming about someone I could never have. The date was scheduled for a Friday evening at a restaurant overlooking Seattle's waterfront. I arrived nervous, but hopeful. My date, a pleasant woman named Rachel, seemed kind and easy to talk to. We discussed our careers, families, and favorite travel destinations. For the first time in months, I felt relaxed. Then everything changed. As Rachel was telling a funny story, I noticed her eyes suddenly widen. I turned around, and there stood Olivia. She was dressed casually, unlike the professional outfits she wore at work. Beside her stood an older couple I assumed were her parents. The moment our eyes met, surprise flashed across her face. For a second, I thought she might simply wave and continue walking. Instead, she approached our table. My stomach twisted into knots. She greeted Rachel politely before looking at me. There was something unusual in her expression, something I couldn't understand. After a brief conversation, she excused herself and joined her family. But throughout the evening, I kept noticing her glancing toward our table, and strangely, she looked disappointed. The next Monday at work felt painfully awkward. I avoided her office whenever possible. Around lunchtime, an email arrived asking me to stop by. My pulse raced. I assumed she wanted to discuss professionalism or workplace boundaries. Instead, when I entered her office, she closed the door and looked at me quietly. The confidence she always displayed seemed absent. For the first time, she looked nervous. She asked about the date. I told her Rachel was wonderful, but that we hadn't felt much chemistry. Olivia nodded slowly. Then, she took a deep breath. What she said next completely stunned me. She admitted she had been surprised to see me with another woman, not because I was doing anything wrong, but because she had secretly hoped I might someday ask her out. For a moment, I genuinely thought I had misunderstood. My brain struggled to process the words. She explained that over the years she had grown to admire my integrity, kindness, and dedication. She respected the professional boundary between us and never wanted to place me in an uncomfortable position. So she stayed silent, just like I had. Two people carrying the same feelings. Two people afraid to say anything. Years wasted because of fear. I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was unbelievable. After all that time, the woman I thought was completely out of reach had been feeling exactly what I felt. Over the following months, things developed carefully and respectfully. Olivia transferred oversight of my department to another executive to eliminate any professional conflict. Only after everything was properly handled did we begin dating. Our first official date felt strangely familiar. It wasn't awkward. It felt like coming home. We already knew each other's dreams, values, fears, and goals. We had spent years building trust without realizing we were building a foundation for something much greater. The relationship wasn't perfect. Life never is. We, Satai now high, faced challenges, disagreements, and moments of uncertainty, but every obstacle strengthened us. Because our connection wasn't built on excitement alone, it was built on respect, on friendship, on patience, on years of understanding each other. 3 years later, I stood on a small pier overlooking Puget Sound as the sun disappeared beyond the horizon. That was where I asked Olivia to marry me. Tears filled her eyes before she said yes. Today, whenever people ask how we met, we usually laugh at the irony. Two adults spent years hiding their feelings, while convincing themselves the other person wasn't interested. And it all changed because of a blind date neither of us expected. Before this story ends, I have a special request. Comment below, have you ever been afraid to tell someone how you truly felt? Your story may inspire someone else today. Life has a funny way of rewarding courage. Sometimes the opportunities we dream about are closer than we think. Sometimes the people we believe are beyond our reach, are waiting for us to take a single step forward. And sometimes the biggest regrets aren't the chances we take. They're the chances we never take at all. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps more people discover stories about hope, love, second chances, and the courage to follow their hearts. Because one honest conversation can change an entire life, and sometimes it can lead you exactly where you were meant to be.